Welcome. We're excited to have you for Setuply's quarterly tech innovation uh, webinar series. Today, we'll be diving into the power of connected experiences and smarter data management, looking at some of the key strategies to enhance client and team interactions, streamline operations, and ultimately drive sustainable growth to your business. A couple of housekeeping items before we get started. So as you noticed, we are recording this session and we'll be sharing the link after the webinar so you could share it with your colleagues and friends who missed it. If you have any questions during the webinar, please enter them into the question box. We'll address them in the Q&A session at the end of the webinar. So let's take a moment to introduce ourselves and Setuply. Setuply, hosting this webinar, is an AI-powered client management experience platform, CMX, that helps businesses accelerate revenue recognition, improve client retention, and maximize operational efficiency. Our platform streamlines onboarding, optimizes service delivery, and enhances financial visibility, all from one purpose-built solution. By bridging the gap between sales, operations, and finance, our clients eliminate inefficiencies, enable smarter decision-making, and drive better outcomes. So why do we do these quarterly series? Well, the client management space is evolving very rapidly, and keeping up requires ongoing learning. These sessions are designed to inform and drive the dialogue around best practices in onboarding, automation, data collection, and revenue management, helping businesses to stay ahead and unlock new growth opportunities. Next, let me introduce today's speakers who will be leading the discussion. Kelly Blackledge is the head of product at Setuply. She's a leading expert in project automation and efficiency. Kelly is passionate about creating connected experiences and driving operational excellence. Today, she will walk us through some real-world applications of automation and smarter workflows, showing how businesses can optimize their client management. Rachel Lubovitsky, the CEO of Setuply, well, that's me. As someone who is deeply focused on technology-driven business transformation, I'll be sharing some industry insights, key trends, and strategies to help businesses optimize onboarding and drive sustainable growth. We're excited to get started, so let's dive into the agenda. In today's fast-paced business environment, revenue leakage and inefficiencies aren't just operational challenges. They are direct threats to growth and profitability. Disconnected systems, poor data flows, and outdated processes slow down onboarding, create costly mistakes, and prevent businesses from maximizing the value of every single client relationship. So today, we're going to explore how integration and automation can help solve these challenges, how structured data collection and management can drive better decision-making, and how Setuply's latest innovation, invoicing, ensures accurate job costing, real-time billing, and proper revenue recognition to help keep businesses on track. Finally, at the end, we're going to wrap up with key takeaways and an open discussion. So drop those questions into the chat and let's get started. Let's talk about the challenge rather, many companies face. There are too many disconnected teams and siloed tools. Onboarding, client support, managed services, all these teams juggle CRMs, ticketing systems, emails, spreadsheets, and more. Each tool may hold critical information, yet they rarely talk to each other. In fact, some companies don't even realize just how many different solutions their teams rely on daily. What this results in, a waterfall of inefficiencies that slow everything down. Scattered information makes it nearly impossible to track progress with critical details buried across different systems. Teams waste valuable time manually updating records, trying to keep everything in sync, but errors and outdated data still slip through the cracks. As a result, onboarding slows down, handoffs become messy, and a lack of visibility creates operational bottlenecks. Poor tracking and fragmented workflows don't just frustrate teams, they directly impact revenue recognition and overall productivity, making it much harder to scale efficiency. effectively. Sorry. However, when you consolidate your toolkit and connect your data sources, everything changes. Your visibility improves, teams start working smarter, and both internal collaboration and client relationships become much more seamless. You eliminate time spent on manual tasks and improve capacity and create meaningful connections both internally and externally. So now let's take a look at what a truly connected client experience looks like. Kelly is going to walk us through how Setaply brings these pieces together and the impact it can have on your organization.
Thanks, Rachel. Hi, everyone. My name is Kelly Blackledge. Like Rachel mentioned, I'll be going through the system today and jumping in and talking about the pieces that we are covering. First thing I wanted to talk about, like Rachel mentioned, is really unifying your sources within Setaply. So with Setaply, you can really centralize data from those multiple sources, and this includes your CRMs or even your internal platform data, your ticketing systems. And we also offer built-in solutions for things like your electronic forms, where you might be using an outside system like a form stack, or PDFs, where you might be using a DocuSign. We also provide file management and an emailing solution. So really with our tools and the integrations we offer, you can unify all that data into one location. So let's just take a quick look. In my system here, just to highlight some of the integrations I've turned on in this environment, you can see we offer a variety of different sources to pull in information from. We integrate seamlessly with systems like HubSpot, like Salesforce, and what this allows you to do is bring in that critical data that matters most to your team, such as that contact information, your accounts, your deals and opportunities, even your cases. Once this data is within Setaply, you can use it to do things like populate your client profiles or pull in that related files that might help your team through the different processes of managing those client projects. You can also use the data to generate projects automatically or even create support tickets without any additional manual entry of data. Now, let me quickly open up a client just to highlight how within Setaply, with data coming in from outside sources, whether it's being used to populate Setaply's fields automatically, or you have a specified widget for that separate system, your users don't need to open up that outside solution to gather this information. It's all right here, for example, on this client's page. Like I mentioned before, you can also use it to populate or automatically create your projects. So let's open up a project here to highlight in the same vein. For a project, you might have other systems that are populating information that's important for your team to view and analyze. You can see those external tools have their individual widgets. They're easily accessible. And you also, with Setaply's built-in tools, can utilize things like your data forms to gather additional information. You can utilize PDFs, also our emailing communications, and project files. So with our built-in tools, with the integrations with the other solutions, you really allow Setaply to eliminate the need for those multiple external solutions and ensure all the collected data is stored and managed in this single location. So Rachel, I will actually toggle it back to you now.
Thanks, Kelly. So now that we've connected all the data sources, all your emails, your client files, your project details, your recently won deals, your surveys, your cases, and so much more, you got it all in one place. But just having the data is not enough. The next step is making it work for you. So how do we turn data into an asset? Well, first of all, it has to be structured. We have to make sure it's well organized. You've seen a little bit of that, and you're going to see more of that later. Clean and organized data ensures that everyone is aligned and eliminates confusion. Next, automated validation steps in reducing manual input, minimizing errors, and keeping workflows flowing efficiently. After that, real-time visibility. When teams and individual stakeholders can instantly access the right data, they can act faster and make better decisions. Finally, AI brings it all together, spotting patterns, identifying risks, and surfacing insights that teams may otherwise miss. At the end of the day, it's not just about collecting data. It's about making it usable, accurate, and actionable. When that happens, teams work smarter, move faster, and create better client experiences. So now let's take a look at how Setuply makes it happen. Kelly's going to walk us through it.
Yeah. All right. So let's jump back into the project here. So like Rachel mentioned, it's great that you have all this data in one system, but really, how can you make it work for you? And there are a number of ways. And probably the first and most obvious, like I've been mentioning, is really the visibility that your team has without having to leave the system to view your sales related information. They can easily search for data that is pulled in from that outside source. It also eliminates the need to potentially pay for additional licenses that might be required for your users to gain access to that data in those outside sources. You can also ensure that you are collecting those files and identifying which files are actually visible to different users. Should your clients be seeing files that you're storing and managing within your project, for example? And with communications, you can keep everyone associated with the project on the same page in terms of what communications are happening with our clients. Simply pull up those emails, you can reply to them, and everyone involved within the project will be able to see each other's communications. The other way I'd like to highlight is pre-population or population of data. So for example, you might have data being pulled in from one source and you need to populate another source. This can be really helpful to ensure accuracy and even remove the need for dual entry of data, especially if data was collected previously, perhaps during the sales process. For example, I might want to identify a field in my forms. It's going to pull in information from my CRM so that my clients do not have to enter that information again. We also offer validation. And what do I mean by that? Well, within a lot of onboarding processes or client management processes, you may see data migration being a big part of that process. With validation rules within Setuply, data that you're collecting can quickly be validated, and utilizing tools, you can identify those errors and quickly make those changes with our built-in tools, and then make sure that that data is clean and ready for export and import into another solution. Another way I want to highlight how you can utilize data within Setuply is through our automations. So I touched on it briefly before, where we can pull in, for example, CRM data to automatically generate your projects. That allows you to even automatically generate which tasks should be completed, which work should be completed based off of information that we're receiving from your deal, for example. You can also automate projects by collecting data in other various ways, such as, let me jump over to a client portal, for example, such as asking your client user to provide you with some additional information that will ultimately affect the project itself. So with adding additional tasks to the project directly from that data that's received, you can ensure that the correct work is being done and added to your project. And really, again, just pulling this all together with that visibility, your pre-population, your validation, and your automation, Setuply really allows you to transform how your team manages and uses that data. And it can help save you that time, can help reduce those errors, and really keep your processes moving forward more efficiently. So Rachel, I will hand it back to you. Just give me 1 second while I get those slides up and running.
Thanks, Kelly. Wasn't that awesome? So now that we've covered connected experiences and structured data management, let's talk about the next step, ensuring that the work is properly tracked and built. The first priority is stopping revenue leakage. Companies lose millions of dollars due to inaccurate job costing, unbilled services, and disconnected data. Scope changes, extra work done but unbilled, and evolving client needs often slip through the cracks, leading to misaligned revenue recognition and invoicing discrepancies. That's why Setuply now includes invoicing, designed to track and align revenue with the actual work performed in real time. By capturing financial data at the source where the work happens, businesses eliminate revenue gaps and avoid billing surprises. Invoices are dynamically updated based on project progress, scope changes, and client interactions. And our integrations into leading ERPs, with those integrations, financial data flows seamlessly across the organization, providing a single source of truth for project execution, cost tracking, and revenue recognition. Now, let's take a look at how this works. Kelly is going to walk us through this.
All right. So staying within my project here, I'm going to highlight how incorporating invoicing with your work really allows you to connect your revenue tracking with the actual project work that will be done or has been done. So within Setuply, you can associate your tasks, for example, with different amounts that you might want to track. And this is all configurable per company. So you can really identify how you want to track your recurring amount, your billable amount, all within the tasks itself. You can also see, if you remember, I had tasks that were automatically added based off of data I was receiving. So I want to ensure that I'm also capturing for that additional work that is being included in this project now. All of these amounts that you're seeing within these tasks are consolidated within the project's simple amount view. So these amounts give you insight into your billable and your non-billable work and when you might expect to realize those amounts. And this allows you to remove the guesswork. You'll always have a clear understanding of how your project work is really translating into financial results. And this amounts report here gives you the ability to summarize your amount data, break it down into different details, such as reporting amounts that I like to track are my annual recurring revenue, implementation fees associated with the modules that I'm onboarding, and even one-time purchases. Now, with our invoicing solution, you'll also be able to see right within the project, you can create those invoices directly from the work that's being done. So in my amounts view, I can actually choose to invoice an item, include it in a current invoice, or create my own invoice at the time of going through this wizard. Let's just create a new one on the fly. Jump through here. I can select which items I want to invoice, perhaps all my implementation fees. And then you'll be able to see within the system, you have your invoice line items broken out for you. Now, this allows you also to customize your company's own invoicing workflow to ensure your invoices are flowing through the proper approval and processing steps. And like Rachel mentioned, by connecting to your ERPs or your accounting systems, you can ensure that those amounts are being flowed into that system and those amounts are being paid by your client. As always, you can export any of this data on the fly if ever needed. And I'll also mention too that invoicing in Setuply isn't limited to just a single project. You can generate invoices for work that spans multiple activities. Let me just jump into a separate area of the system, our invoices here. So within the invoices report here, you can ensure that all your billable work that you're capturing for different clients or a single client can be created in one place. I can add an invoice, identify the client that I want to create an invoice for, and we'll choose some random dates here. I can add my items. I can choose to include all items, or again, you can utilize this wizard to identify specific reporting amounts that you might want to include in this invoice, such as I want to identify all of my one-time purchases for this client across different projects, for example, and include them all in my invoice. There we go. And not only that, for even greater efficiency, Setuply allows you to create multiple invoices for multiple clients at a given time. And this really helps to reduce the manual effort that goes into creating invoices for each individual client. And this also helps to ensure that accuracy. And it also helps keep your invoicing scalable no matter how many clients you might be managing. So with all this data, I know this is in the report view, but let me just jump out into my dashboard view. You can take all of this data and use it to build visual dashboards that provide you with that instant insight into the financial impact of your work and your client relationships. You can really gain that clear view of the revenue that's tied to your completed tasks, even your clients that you're managing, and it helps to ensure that you're aligning your revenue recognition with your team's efforts. So with that, I'll hand it back to you, Rachel. Just give me 1 second again while I get this up and running. Here you go.
Thanks, Kelly. That was amazing. And that's all, folks. Before we wrap up, let's quickly go over today's key takeaways and actionable insights. Now is the time, if you have any questions, to drop them into the chat. We'll address them in just a moment. So here are some of the key takeaways from today's session. Connected experiences drive efficiencies. When your systems are integrated, silos disappear, errors decrease, and all processes become smoother and faster. Seamless data flows let teams focus on delivering value rather than fixing inefficiencies. Next, optimized data management powers smarter decisions. When your data is well structured and validated and centralized, the accuracy, visibility, and stakeholder collaboration goes to the next level. When the right data is available at the right time to the right people, decision making at this point is proactive rather than reactive. And lastly, financial alignment prevents revenue leakage. Inaccurate job costing, missed scope changes, disconnected billing, all this can cost businesses millions. Automated invoicing, real-time tracking, and financial transparency. This helps ensure that every dollar of work is properly accounted for and billed. And now let's take a look at your questions. So let me pop up this Q&A dialogue and see what's coming. Well, speaking of invoicing, first question. Can I track non-billable activities? Kelly, you wanna tackle that one?
Yes, you can. Within the system, you have the ability to customize really what amounts you want to track, and you do have the ability to identify if that's billable or non-billable. So when you go into your project, for example, where I just was, if the amount is not billable, you just won't be able to add it to your invoice, but it is something you're easily able to report on and create those visual graphs like I showed in one of our last slides in the demo.
Oh, thank you. Next question. Can the data that is collected be synced with the support team afterwards?
Yes. Yeah, definitely. So really, it just depends on what system you're utilizing, and we can send that data. It depends on what you want to occur. Should a ticket be created? Should emails be sent out? But we are able to send all of that data so that all your different departments are on the same page. So yeah, that is definitely an option with Setuply.
Awesome. And we'll take one more. Can adjustments be made after an invoice is generated?
Yes, and we can also listen in for perhaps adjustments that come in from other solutions, ensure those are applied to new invoices that come up. And I know I didn't show this on the demonstration, but we have extensive reporting in the system that allows you to see a month-by-month breakdown of your different revenue amounts. So any adjustments that come in will be accommodated for, and you'll be able to see them in the corresponding months.
Awesome. So if for any of the remaining questions, we'll be following up with you after the webinar. We'll be happy to take them afterwards. Moving on to the next step. What are some of the actionable next steps you can take from this? Evaluate your systems, identify where you might have disconnected tools, identify any data gaps. Are there any teams struggling to access valuable information when they need it? Review your billing workflows. It's amazing how much you can uncover. unfortunately, and hopefully recover when you start looking at your revenue and tasks and activities closer, and ultimately leverage technology to optimize and scale. Thank you all so much for joining us today. We're very excited to keep this dialogue going and help you drive success in client onboarding and beyond. If you would like to explore how Setaply can help your team, please feel free to reach out to us after the session. We love to connect. You can email hello@setaply.com. We'll always be happy to get in touch. As mentioned before, we'll be sharing the webinar recording, so feel free to pass it along to your team's partners and anyone in your network who would benefit. Sign up for our future events. We would love to see you there. And then if you stick around on this here slide, this is some of the upcoming events where you can meet with our team. Next one coming up in a couple of weeks in Las Vegas, IPPA Spring Summit. So thank you once again for joining us this afternoon, and stay in touch and stay warm. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.